Hey everyone, welcome to today's Program Yourself Thin podcast. Today we're talking about cutting down sugar. It's 2025, and if you want to lose weight, you're most likely going to have a plan and a strategy to deal with sugar. You probably eat a lot of it if you're like the average American. So how do you do this? I think if you're a dieter, you've probably tried this before, and your approach has basically been, all right, it's Monday, I'm going to stop eating sugar. And it becomes the endurance test model where you're going to see how long you can go without eating any sugar at all, starting from that point. And you usually get through a couple hours, a couple days, and you're back to sugar. And it's this all or nothing mentality of how you're approaching sugar that is really one of the core reasons why it's not working for you. So to try and just cold turkey it, right? That's what most people kind of think of when they're going to quit sugar. And it's got its success stories, I suppose. And I'm sure you probably at some point have quit sugar for a little while and you trying to reclaim those glory days. But for most people, what happens is they're not able to sustain staying off sugar completely. And so they go back to it. And because it's all or nothing, they're either completely avoiding it or they're just eating it without even paying attention to it. So again, it's so important that you get a handle on your sugar because sugar really does drive overeating, and it really kind of fires your brain up to want to eat more. And usually it wants to eat more of the unhealthy stuff. So that is why it's just so important to get a handle on it. But here's the thing. You do not need to stop all at once. I know you say, well, if I don't stop it all at once, it's impossible to stop, right? So most people will tell me, and cold turkey is the only thing that has ever worked for me. I'll hear that a lot too. But my question to you is, when have you tried anything else? When have you ever systematically worked on reducing your sugar intake in a comfortable and enjoyable way? And I already know the answer is never. You've never learned how to moderate your sugar intake. You've never learned how to approach your sugar intake and cutting it down in a strategic way that is built to be comfortable and enjoyable. You've never done this. It's always all or nothing. And I believe what I've seen work best is when you start getting strategic with it. So how do you get strategic with cutting your sugar down? Well, the first thing is you need awareness. You need to recognize, where are the typical sugars coming into my body? And so awareness piece is so important because there's a great chance that you're consuming a lot of sugar you do not even realize. So you start reading nutritional packages and labels more often. It's been a week or two. This isn't forever, but for a week or two, look at the typical things you eat for breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks. Look at them and pay attention to the added sugars and start to get a sense of which things you're eating have a lot more sugar in them, kind of the relative amount of sugar in what you're eating typically. And once you have a sense of awareness, once you have an idea of what sugar you're eating, and please do not skip this step, okay? Let me just take a quick moment here. You're not as aware as you think. I know you think you're more aware. Human brains think they're more aware than they actually are. It's just a quirk of our brains. Believe that or don't, that's up to you. But I am encouraging and begging you that I've been doing this professionally for over 20 years, helping people lose weight and change. And without exception, every single person I've worked with has had a lot less awareness of what they were doing and what they were eating, what they were thinking, than they thought they did. Never an exception. I have never once had an exception, myself included. And so much of my journey has been developing the awareness of what I'm actually doing, what I'm actually putting into my body consistently, where the sugar's coming from, where the calories are coming from. Okay. So as you start to pay attention and develop a sense of where the sugar is coming into your body week to week, right? So again, not day to day, but over a typical week, over a typical month, where's the sugar coming from? Is it the sugar in the coffee, sugar in the muffin you eat, sugar in the ice cream, sugar in sodas? Again, it goes on and on. That's your job first. Where's the sugar coming from typically? Then what you do is you take a step back and you start getting strategic. This is the difference. Instead of saying, I'm going to cut all the sugar out, you say, what would be the easiest sugar for me to cut out here? You look at the top 5 to 6, 7 sources of sugar coming into your body regularly, and you ask the magic question, which one of those would be the easiest one for me to start to reduce? Reduce. And that could look like, I usually put 3 sugars in a coffee. I will make it 2. I usually have 4 scoops of ice cream. I will have 3. I usually have 5 sugar coffees, sugar and cream coffees a day. I'm going to cut it down to 4. I know you say that that's not going to make any difference, Jim. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Everything else in your life, when you want to get good at it, you start small, you start simple, and you get better and better at it. You want to start lifting weights, you don't start with the heaviest weight you can find. You start with the weight that you can lift relatively comfortable, that is still pushing you further. And it's no different with your sugar. If you start strategically approaching it comfortably, slowly, systematically, strategically, where you get to in 2, 3, 4 months, a year from now is markedly different than anything you've tried in the past. Because every sugar thing you've tried in the past is always this all or nothing thing that ultimately just leads you to doing nothing. You have little blips at times when you reduce or cut the sugar out. What you need to start doing is being consistent with it, right? And Program Yourself Thin, we have a concept of consistency over intensity. Applies to everything. And so even with your sugar, it's mostly about being consistent. I don't give a shit if you stop eating sugar for a week. Who cares? I'm concerned with how much sugar you're eating over a year, over a decade. And so if you start getting strategic with it, it becomes comfortable to reduce the sugar. And before you know it, you're able to reduce way more sugar than you ever thought possible. And it feels normal. That's the key thing. It's never going to be normal if it's always a white knuckle willpower affair. If you're just forcing yourself, I'm not going to eat sugar, I'm not going to eat sugar, blah, blah, blah. And then you eat it, and then you're back to just what you always do. Instead, we want to systematically see our pattern of sugar consumption and strategically reduce it. And a lot of times you'll find you may not need to reduce it. You don't need to reduce it to zero. You just need to reduce it to a level where it cuts calories out and where it's not triggering your brain so much. So again, I treat sugar very much like alcohol. I use alcohol, I use sugar, but I use it very respectfully, very moderately. And that's been a process that I've worked on over the years, but I've done it comfortably. So the way I've done it, I cut the desserts down. I cut the sugar out of my breakfast, right? So I noticed my breakfast, I would have peanut butter, Jif peanut butter with sugar in it. The bread had sugar in it. I would eat that every morning. Okay, so that, and before that I had sugar as well. And I'd sugar with cereal with sugar in it. So that's what I began to work on. I cut the cereal, the sugar out. I switched the Jif for natural peanut butter that doesn't have any sugar in it. I switched the bread for bread that doesn't have any sugar in it. So now I'm starting my day. I took the cream and sugar out of my coffee. And so now the start of my day, no sugar Monday through Friday, right? Then I went to lunch and I started working on lunch. Used to have a cookie or dessert after lunch typically, or a soda maybe too. And then I began to cut that down, and so on and so forth. And so when you approach it this way, you make it much more likely that you're going to stick with it. And that is what ultimately is going to dictate your results, not wildly changing your results for a little bit of time, but permanently change them in a dramatic way. But it takes a little bit longer, but it's also a lot easier. So I hope this helps you out. And if you want support with this kind of way of thinking and approaching your weight, click the link in my bio or go to programyourselfthin.com. Get the free hypnosis session I gave you. Watch the video training I made for you. I got a bunch of cool stuff coming. Even got the Circle app. I got a community for people that are just free. I got a bunch of cool stuff going in there. So go check it out. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them, because I am here to help you in any way I can. Any weight loss questions are welcome. And if you could be any plan you're following, I have helped people in every possible plan imaginable. So feel free to ask any questions, because no matter what plan you do, your mindset is a huge component of that process, right? I see R6. I have a question. Yep. Feel free to ask it. I have a question. Can you answer? I'm already thin, but I eat not clean, and I want to eat clean, but I see no reason to. Oh, okay. That's a great question. And I think that's an important piece. I think most dieters want to lose weight primarily because they want to look better. And so that may not be breaking news, right? But it's really important, because for most people at this point in time, 2025 in America, 75% of the population is overweight or obese. And every one of them wants to look better. So wanting to look better is not enough motivation. Just want you all to know that. And so in Program Yourself Thin, motivation is a huge component of the whole program. We build on the foundation of motivation, because motivation is the engine that drives the car. And if you have a lawnmower engine in your car, you're not going anywhere fast. Okay. And so the motivation we really want to tap into that goes beyond being thin or overweight is thinking about the food you're eating in terms of the best quality life you can lead. So let me put it this way. The best version of yourself that you can think of yourself as. Who is the best you? The best you is not decided by just weight. It's a component of it for sure, but there's got to be more to it than just a weight or a number. So to me, how could the best you not be the version of you who's eating cleaner, healthier, more nourishing, nutrient dense foods? If you were energizing your body with the foods it was meant to eat, high quality nourishment, fruits, vegetables, greens, beans, high quality nourishment and fuel you put in your body, how could you not be a better version of yourself? Now, maybe you don't care about that, and that's another story. But if you've got goals in life, right? So program yourself thin. We take the weight loss, we wrap it in personal development. And the personal development's that's what gives us more motivation than just a dieter. Because a dieter just wants to look better. But that's not enough motivation. If it was, people wouldn't struggle with weight the way they do. I hope that makes sense. So again, we've got to expand our motivation to be bigger. And I will give you an example. I mean, my father, the reason I'm even doing this is my father died when he was 54 of a heart attack. I was 9 years old. And so this for me, weight, eating, lifestyle, mindset, it's so much more than just what I'm looking like. It's about how long I'm going to live. It's going to be how long I'm going to live my quality of life while I'm here. And that's how I think about it. So I lost 50 pounds. I'm in the same weight for 30 years. One blip 13 years ago, but I've been the same weight because I'm deeply motivated, because it goes way beyond how I look. Do I want to look a certain way? Yeah, sure. But the way bigger motivation for me is I want to live as long as I possibly can. I want to spend as much time as I possibly can with my family and people I love. I want to do as many cool things as I possibly can. And I know what it's like to fuel your body with bullshit. I've done it. I've lived a life where I'm consistently, mainly what I'm putting in my body is processed food, junk food, fast food, bullshit. I've done it. And guess what? It felt like shit. And when I put high quality food in my body, when I live a high quality life, I feel way better. So what ends up happening when you look at it this way, at least for me, is that, yeah, looking a certain way is kind of like the cherry on top. It's great. It's fine. I like it. But the way bigger thing is who I am, how I'm living, what I'm doing, what I'm achieving, what relationships I'm creating, what financial, experience I'm having in my life, what I'm doing, being able to help people that I want to help. And so there's got to be more motivation. And so I think that, even if you're thin and you want to eat healthier, I don't see that being any problem. Again, I know it's hard because, again, in America, we're conditioned to just basically think about weight loss as looking better. That's just how we're trained to think about it. So it's hard to think outside of that box. But I think you have to, if you really want to get the results you want, because you need more motivation. And just looking better is not enough motivation for people. And the irony is that I'm so confused by this part, that most people really do believe that that they're super motivated, that wanting to look better is enough motivation, even though they're overweight and not doing the stuff to get the results they want. So, part of this process is recognizing the reality of your situation. And a big part of the reality of your situation, if you're overweight and have been overweight for a while, is that you're not truly motivated. You're not really motivated. You'd like to lose weight, but you don't really want to lose weight. Think about your level of motivation for going to work, right? You think about work and it's like, yeah, you'd love to sleep in all day long, but you get up and go because why? Because you value getting a check. You value the things that money gives you so strongly that it pulls you out of bed, even if you don't want to. And so that's because there's more motivation there. There's not enough motivation with your weight loss. I can almost guarantee you, because again, I've done almost 6,000 private weight loss sessions, and very rarely does someone come into working with me with any real motivation. It's definitely something, it's a skill, to be able to do it. That's why we start with that in the program. It's one of the first things we start with. Chuck said, how can I get to the Circle app? Yeah, Chuck, I will be sending a link out for that this week. I'm setting it up right now. And again, if you're a customer, you're already in there. If you're in there, you should be in there. But if you're not a customer yet, there's going to be a whole free section. I got a bunch of cool stuff for you all. So make sure you get on my email list. So if you're not on my email list, click the link in my bio or go to Program Yourself Thin and go get go get in there, because again, I'm going to be setting up the circle access for everyone pretty quick here. And I got a cool training I'm going to give you all. I did it this week for my Thrive group. It was a workshop on how to feel proud. And I'm just going to give that away for free. People really loved it. And I think it's so important that I just want to give it to you all. I want you all to have it. So I will give you that. And that'll be in the Circle app too. So again, just get on my email list. I will send you information about that and I'll get you in there this week. It's pretty much all set up. So yeah, keep a lookout for that. Raman says, how can you lose weight when you are extremely carb sensitive? When you are extremely carb sensitivity, we love free stuff. How can you lose weight when you are extremely carb sensitivity? I'm not sure exactly what that means. When you're extremely sensitive to carbs? And I'm not sure what that means. Like you have an intolerance to it, or like you're really susceptible to like eating some carbs and eat all of them. So I'm not really sure what that means. The extremely carb sensitivity means. But I will tell you this. I mean, you lose weight the same way, no matter what, whether you're sensitive to carbs, whether you're insulin resistant, whether you're menopausal, whether you got Hashimoto's, regardless of what your situation is, weight loss is the same for everyone, which is that you need to reduce your average calorie consumption. That's how anyone's going to lose weight, right? You've got to everyone think about this, right? Your weight is pretty much an average, right? Most people's weight stays pretty static. Your weight's not going up 5 pounds a month every month, most likely. What happens is you stay in a basic range. It might go up a little bit year after year, but basically it stays in the same range. Well, your weight stays in the same range because you consume the same average amount of calories. You consume the same average volume of food every day, whether you realize that or not. So, it's very much like smokers. When I worked with smokers back in the day, I would regularly I always thought this was interesting. I would regularly get someone, how much did they smoke, right? The average smoking client I had, guess how much they smoked a day? A pack. Yep. And so that pack reveals a lot about our minds. But one thing you realize about the pack, that's 20 cigarettes, right? So someone's smoking a pack a day every day. And we think about that, but really think about that for a second. Imagine if you were going to take up a smoking habit, right? Let's just imagine it was a candy smoking habit, right? So it wasn't even going to harm you or anything, but imagine I said to you, you have to do this thing now 20 times a day. And each time you do it, you have to set aside 2-3 minutes. Think about this. Imagine 20 times a day, you've got to dedicate a minimum of 3 minutes. I'm not smoking right there where you are. Never mind walking outside another, whatever. So let's just take the very minimum. 3 minutes times 20 is 1 hour a day spread out. And they will do that on autopilot. It's 20 cigarettes every day. And most of those cigarettes are happening at the exact same times each day, or pretty close to it. And so our brains are pattern-oriented mechanisms, and our eating is the same thing. Your eating follows a pattern. You've got a pattern of eating that over a week, you're averaging the same amount of calories coming in. That's why your weight kind of stays the same. And so if you want to reduce your weight, you need to reduce your average calorie consumption. And so it doesn't matter whichever plan you follow, it's the same. That's what we're doing. Now, what most people do, the big mistake and why dieting sucks and doesn't work, is because regardless of the eating philosophy, the diet philosophy, whether it's keto, low carb, low fat, low calorie, Weight Watchers, intermittent fasting, it doesn't matter. You could literally pick any diet you've ever heard of in your life. What makes them all exactly the same is the mindset with which you approach it. So regardless, and this is why, regardless of what diet people try, the ultimate result is always the same: failure. 95 to 98% of people that lose weight on a diet put it back on. So it's not the nutritional philosophy that I got the issue with. It's the mindset of dieting that we approach all those diets with. So regardless of what diet you approach, what are you going to do? How do you do it? Because everyone does it the same way. Mediterranean, Weight Watchers, keto, it doesn't matter. Pick your diet, and what is always the same? How you start it, how you approach it. How do you approach it? Monday, 100% doing it perfectly. I've been using the metaphor lately that basically you're running a marathon, you're in a marathon and you're running it like a sprinter. You're running it like a sprinter. You know it's a marathon, but for some reason you say, I don't care. I just want to get out to a fast start. Yeah, but you're going to blow all your energy out. I don't care. I'm going to be way ahead. Well, yeah, but you're going to lose the race. You're going to run out of steam. Care. So that's the problem with the diets, right? It's not listen, they've done studies with all the diets. They just recently did a huge study where they compared low fat to low carb. Guess what? Same weight loss for people that did it. So it's not this diet philosophy that's the problem. The main problem is your mindset. And when you're trying to cut calories, you're trying to cut dramatic amounts of calories. Most diets, you're going to cut 50 to 70% of your calories out on day one and try and maintain that all the way through to your goal weight. It's very overwhelming and stressful, extremely stressful. And so the alternative to that is to slowly and systematically, strategically, comfortably dial the calories down so that you're not just looking at cutting calories down. You're also looking at the other side of the equation is, how do I feel about this? Let's take it to an extreme. Let's say you cut all the calories out and you just start a water fast. I'm going to water fast and lose as much weight as I possibly can. Well, okay. Granted, that's the fastest way to lose calories, but it's also the maximum amount of stress you can experience, right? You get a day not eating is really hard. A week not eating, oh my God. A month not eating, you got to eat at some point, right? And then you start eating and then the calories go up and the weight goes back up. But that's a real example of how every diet ends up being. You do drastic things. You drastically cut calories down. You drastically change your behavior and it stresses you the fuck out. You only do this for so long, then you quit. You've done this hundreds of times. Doesn't matter what diet. You've always approached your diet and weight loss the exact same way. And it doesn't work, you know? So yeah, you need a different approach. But again, go get my hypnosis session. I explain a lot more. Robin says, what about keto or low carb diet? I mean, they're stupid. They're just stupid. You know, I think they're philosophically stupid. I mean, the keto diet was a diet that was created for epileptics. It wasn't even about weight loss. It's just, you know, we live in a world now where people just love, I don't know. I mean, it's listen, you say, oh, the keto's not stupid. I lost 40 pounds on it last year. Oh, yeah. What's your weight now though? Listen, I'm not saying diets don't work to lose weight in the short term. They clearly do. Obviously they do. What I'm saying is diets don't work to help you stay at your goal weight. So the keto plan, yeah, you might lose some weight quickly at first. I'm not arguing that, but let me know where you're at next year. And there's a 98% chance you're not going to be on it. Why? Because you feel like shit. It's weird. It's weird. It's a weird way to live in America. Now, I don't have a problem being weird, by the way. Okay. So I'm a weird and I eat weirdly, but it's very strange to live a keto lifestyle for most people. And to be honest, I had to manage my weirdness. I had to do it slowly and systematically anyways. That's another story. But to just jump into a keto plan, I mean, come on, folks. What's your experience been? Now, again, this is the biggest problem, though, with a dieter is that you don't blame the process. You blame yourself, right? You haven't succeeded on keto. Why? Because you have no control. You have no willpower. That's what you tell yourself. That's bullshit. It's a goofy plan. It's a goofy plan. I can tell you that. So again, reducing your carbs makes sense. In America, the number one source of calories is baked goods. So yeah, most likely if you live in America and you want to lose weight, you're probably going to have to, you know, reduce your refined carb consumption. There's probably a good chance of that. But do you need to take it to the extreme that you go into ketosis? Huh? What? What is that based on? What society's living in ketosis? No, the Inuit Eskimos are not living in ketosis. They've got a genetic mutation that prevents them from going into ketosis. So what exactly is the reasoning that you're only going to eat meat or you're not going to eat any vegetables or any carbs? You know, again, and just to that point, just to that philosophy alone, the blue zones, in my opinion, completely wipe out the whole argument for low carb. I mean, because the blue zones diet, every one of those, the blue zones they went to the 5 places on earth where people at the highest percentage live to 100 years old. And they went there and said, hey, what are you guys doing and eating? All of them were high carb diets. So high carb diets is the best, easiest, most proven way to live at your goal weight. People are, what do you think? What society are you looking at that's just pounding protein down their guts all day long? Go ahead, tell me. I know it's just some obscure tribe in Africa. Is that who you're referencing? Is that who you're referencing? Because their health sucks anyways, by the way. But who are you referencing with your keto plan and your carnivore plan and your no carb plan? You know, tell me what society you're referencing that was thriving that you're modeling. And I will give you 100 societies that have thrived health-wise, weight-wise, eating high-carb diets. It's not about the carbs. It's about the calories you're consuming. It's about the quality of the food you're eating. You know? So anyways, but even beyond the diet philosophy, again, the core issue is the mindset one, that if you approach your weight loss with a diet mindset, you're pretty much doomed because it's an all or nothing mindset. I mean, you're either doing everything perfectly or you're not doing anything at all. And it just cannot be. It can just not be back and forth like that. Because again, I always joke about this, but stop saying all or nothing. Most likely it's nothing or all. Get it right? It's mostly nothing for most dieters. Most dieters spend most of their time thinking about losing weight and very little time actually spending on actually losing weight. You know? So again, you need to turn your weight loss into weight mastery. You need to shift your goal from losing weight to living at your goal weight, to taking this on as a project, to realizing that, yeah, it's going to take you a little while to master this, to think about your weight in your commitment to it as like you did when you went to college or learned a trade or got some certification. You need to zoom out and take a bigger picture approach to it. Because what's happening as a dieter is you think about losing weight all the time. And then there's certain moments when you get so upset. It's usually when you step on the scale, you see a picture of yourself, you catch your reflection, the doctor scares the shit out of you, someone says something mean to you, and you get so upset, you say, oh, that's it. And then you go dive fucking face first into a keto plan, intermittent fasting, Weight Watchers, whatever, it doesn't matter. And you do it for a little while and then you quit and you go back to it and you just repeat it over and over and over. I mean, that's most of my clients. Most of my clients are usually at least in their 40s, and they've gone through this process so many times, they can't even get themselves to start anymore. So anyways. Robin says, I disagree. It does help with health issues. I mean, what helps with the health issues? The low, I mean, what's a low carb diet anyways, right? Keto though, let's just go to keto just to keep the lines clean here. But what helps with health issues that they always reference is almost always a consequence of reduced calorie consumption. So, you know, I have not seen the evidence that just pounding meat all day long is great for your health. Now, if you pound meat all day and you lose 100 pounds, then yeah, your health markers are going to show up healthier. But you know, and again, when we're talking about carbs, are we talking about refined carbs? Or are we talking about natural carbs? You got to explain to me in what world not eating fruits and vegetables is going to make you healthier. Explain that world to me, please. And somehow the whole low carb thing and keto thing a lot of times it sucks right into its orbit, fruits and vegetables, because we want to get the carbs down to zero. So you tell me how eating less fruits and vegetables makes you healthier. Oh, because of the plant chemicals? The plant defense chemicals? Well, anyways. Then you're hungry a lot. What's up, Kent? Kent says, folks, I've been following this program for 8 months and have comfortably lost 37 pounds. Nice. I don't feel like I've deprived myself of anything. Feel better, sleep better, move better. Thank you, Jim. Yeah, you're welcome, Kent. Yeah, Kent's killing it. Kent's superstar with the program. But yeah, that's what happens, right? That's another thing too. And Program Yourself Thin, we have a holistic, comprehensive approach to managing your weight. And it starts with the goal weight blueprints, right? So we manage your mindset, lifestyle, eating. I don't know how you're going to have any chance in hell of ever living at your goal weight if you don't shift your mindset, optimize your lifestyle, and structure your eating for you. I don't know how you would ever do it. Now listen, let me just take you back a little bit. Everything I'm saying and everything I've accomplished with this starts and ends with the people I have interviewed. And the main people I've interviewed are people that lost weight and have kept it off for at least 2 years. I began studying them over 30 years ago. And very quickly, I realized people that had lost weight and kept it off, not people that lost weight over the last couple of months, people that have been at their goal weight now, have lost weight and then been at that weight for at least 2 years. It's night and day. None of them are dieting. They have internalized this shift. They have changed their mindset, their lifestyle, and their eating, even if they didn't approach it so systematically. Without question, every person I've seen who has changed their weight and stayed at that weight, every single one of them has shifted their mindset, lifestyle, and eating. I've never seen an exception. So that's what I teach in the program. But I flip it back to you. How are you going to change your weight, your eating, without changing your mindset? How could you think that your mindset's not important? How could that be? Right? So great job, Kent. Jebediah says, what's the best diet to adopt? I mean, again, you got to stop thinking in terms of diets, because diets are fucking bullshit. Diets are marketing bullshit. All right. And I know this because every single diet, you want to know the marketing trick behind every single diet, because dieting is marketing, is every single diet you know about is built around one thing. They know their market is overwhelmed and exhausted and tired. So every single diet is built around one thing, the one thing concept. Don't eat for 16 hours. Count your points. Track your calories. Don't eat carbs. Just eat meat. Don't eat vegetables. Don't eat meat. It goes on and on. Everything's built around one thing because they want to simplify it so it doesn't feel overwhelming. But it's bullshit. So I pull from all the diets. Listen, the keto thing, I get it. Yeah, if you're in America, there's a great chance you need to get a handle on your refined carbs. You're probably way overdoing. You're spiking your blood sugar, all sorts of issues because that. Yeah, you got to cut your carbs down. Absolutely. Cut them down to 0? Huh? What? Where'd that idea come from? That's weird, right? So these diets, because they're all built around the one thing concept, that's the model of a diet. If you're going to make it, listen, folks, I've been doing this for over 20 years professionally. If you're going to make a diet, you have to make it about one thing: South Beach, Mediterranean, salt, dash. It's literally, it's always one thing that is primarily based around. And so you need to realize that, and I don't mean to freak you out, but fuck it. And what am I going to do? I'm never going to lie to you. If you have any chance in hell of living at your goal weight, you are going to have to shift your mindset, your lifestyle, and your eating. Yeah, agree or don't, I don't know, but I've never seen it. I've never just seen. So again, it's not about, so what's the best diet to adopt? Great question. In Program Yourself Thin, there's the eating blueprint, which is how you create a plan for you. How about that? Because there's another diet message that you're always getting, that who gives a shit what you want? Just do this. Just everyone in the world should stop eating carbs. Everyone in the world should eat Mediterranean food. Everyone in the world should be low fat. Everyone in the world should be, right? So it's this one prescription for everyone. No way, right? I always say, like, would you let me, you're just going to let someone tell you how to eat for your life? I mean, what's next? You want someone to tell you how to dress, what music to listen to, what movies to watch? You're a human being who has your own preferences, your own lifestyle, your own experience. You've got to build your eating plan, how you're going to eat around your lifestyle, your preferences, your genetics. You've got to figure out how to eat for yourself. And he goes, oh, I don't want. Yeah, great. This program's not for you. This program Yourself Thin, is for thinkers, action takers, overthinkers, type A, perfectionist type people. If you're not that way, this ain't going to work for you. So it's 100% for people, for a very specific type of person. Every person in the program, I swear, is an overthinker. We're just always in our head. It's built for that. And for people that just, they read, they listen to podcasts, they do stuff. That's who this is for. And so what this is, I mean, in essence, it's almost like, it's like a college course. It's like college for your goal weight college, where you systematically work through the pieces of a plan. And but there's 3 main parts of the program. The first one is the blueprints. So you need to know what to do. You need to know how to think, how to live, and how to eat like a thin, healthy person. And right now you have no idea how to do any of those things. Then you need to be able to get yourself to do it. That's the Program Yourself Thin technique. How do I program myself? How do I program my subconscious mind to do the things that I know I should? Again, you have no idea how to do that. You got willpower. That's it. There's a way better approach. Program your subconscious mind so you naturally start to do these things. That's the better approach. And then there's a support system to support you doing those things. You don't think you need support? You think you would have just learned to read and write on your own? You think if you didn't go to school, you would have learned to read and write on your own? Remember how hard that was? Think about different things you've learned in your life that have been hard. And if you hadn't had a support structure around you, would you have done them? Probably not. So again, in my opinion, these are the three things. And without them, I don't know, Now, again, if it's program yourself, then the only way to do that, I'm sure it's not. I'm obviously people lose weight in other ways. But at the very least, make sure that whatever you're going to do has some component of these three, has some mindset, has some lifestyle, has some eating, and has some ability to help you get yourself to do it. Every diet, there's another, diet, what's the word? No, I can't think of the word here. But all diets have in common is that they're just going to tell you what to do, right? Tell me a diet that shows you how to get yourself to do it. You're going to find that you can't think of one. Every single diet is just telling you what to do. So again, it reveals a core problem that your main problem isn't the sense that you don't know what to do so much. I mean, you can always learn more and optimize things, but your core problem is that you don't know what to do. Your core problem is you don't know how to get yourself to do it. If you were a robot and you just wrote in what you're going to eat all day and then you just did it, you wouldn't have any problem with your weight. The problem is you know what you want to eat that day, and then you, out of nowhere, you're compelled to eat the wrong stuff. And you have no idea how to change that. Let's be honest. I mean, that's your core problem. That's your biggest problem right there in a nutshell. So again, program yourself thin technique is aim right at that. Because what are you going to do? Just get more willpower? Are you hinging all of your weight loss success on just magically tapping into more willpower? Because I bet you are. And why would you stumble into more willpower magically on some magical Monday upcoming than you have in the past? What could possibly change in you as a human being, as the person who you've been your whole life? What could magically change where all of a sudden you just have this ridiculous amount of willpower and you just stick to a plan forever? What reality is that even possible in? It's not. It's not. And this is why you feel so discouraged, because you have no plan and you have no belief that you're ever going to fix this. And it's because you don't have the knowledge. The diet industry is bullshit, folks. The diet industry isn't even the diet industry. The diet industry is a sub branch of the food industry. Did you know Weight Watchers was owned by Heinz? Jenny Craig was owned by Nestle. Atkins Food Products is owned by the same company that owns Auntie Anne's Pretzels and Cinnabon. Slim Fast is owned by the same company that owns Ben & Jerry's ice cream. Do you really think these companies want you to eat healthy food and eat less of their bullshit and slim down and be healthy? Is that what you think? Or do you think they would like you to keep eating the bullshit and every once in a while take your money from the diet thing too? That's what I think. So anyways, nice job, Kent. Beans and legumes. What's up, Angie? Angela says everything in moderation, balance is key, and move. Yeah, agreed. Now, I will say this too, Angela, and I agree with what you're saying. Because people will say that sometimes, say everything in moderation. They'll say, come on, you gotta change your lifestyle too. It can't just be a diet. You gotta change your lifestyle. And so, you gotta shift your mindset too. The mindset's gotta be part of it. People will use phrases sometimes without, in linguistics, there's gist knowledge and literal knowledge, right? So it's like, oh, you got to change your lifestyle. That's just knowledge. Okay, how do you change your lifestyle? Lay it out for me. What's your plan to change your lifestyle? What do you mean specifically when you say that? I could ask you all that. What do you think? When I say change your lifestyle, what do you mean? What does that mean to you? You quickly realize there's nothing there. Your definition of lifestyle is this vague sense of something, but there's no real concrete plan there. Same thing with your mindset. Okay, lay out for me how you're going to shift your mindset. What is your mindset? Okay, and how do you change it? Let me know. Not only do you not know, but I could ask you, I could say, okay, fine, you don't know, that's fine. Where would you learn how to shift your mindset with weight? Where would you learn how to think like a thin, healthy person? Just give me a name. Give me a name. And I bet you're struggling. You've never learned how to think like a thin, healthy person, and you don't even have it in your mind really as a clear concept. At most, at best, it's probably just some vague idea. So in Program Yourself Thin, the mindset section, we break down to 6 categories that I take you through systematically to fill it up. The first one's motivation. Do you know how to motivate yourself? Because there's a science of motivation. Why don't you use it? Your self-image is the next one. Your self-image. We always live up or down to our self-image. You can lose weight, but you can still think of yourself as an overweight person. Can you believe it? The next one is habits. Do you know how to strategically, neuroscientifically backed ways to change your habits? Or are you just trying to stop them and fight against them? Emotions. Do you know how to deal with your emotions? The emotions you don't want to deal with? And do you know how to feel the emotions you want to feel? Probably not, because we've been conditioned in society to use food as our main emotional management strategy. Thinking. Do you know how to think like a thin, healthy person? Literally the nuts and bolts of what questions to ask yourself, what phrases to use, how to look at things. Do you have any idea? Probably not. We'll break that down the program. Maintenance, the most important piece. In Program Yourself, then we start with maintenance, because the program's not about losing weight. It's about living at your goal weight. The whole program is about maintaining, living at your goal weight for the rest of your life. Do you know how to maintain, or are you just going to figure it out when you get there? So those are the 6 categories. I mean, there's questions with each that take you through. So to me, I don't know, without the answers to those questions, how are you going to shift your mindset? I've dedicated over 30 years of my life to this. I'm obsessed with it. How are you just going to, what, you're just, you don't need any of that? Because why? What's your plan? What's your weight loss plan? There's no there there. There's no there there. And I know it's upsetting, because there's almost nothing worse than realizing that you have spent 10, 20, 30, 40 years trying to lose weight. And when you really step back and think about it, you don't know anything more right now today about how to lose weight than you did before you started your first diet. You're no closer to the answer. It's because you're stuck on a hamster wheel. The diet industry creates a hamster wheel mindset for yourself, and you never get anywhere new. So that's why I say, again, click the link in my bio or go to Program Yourself Thin and get the hypnosis session, watch the training video. I've got a Circle app. Again, I tell you this stuff all the time. No one gives you more free stuff than I do. This is a mission for me. And I'm about to serve that mission a lot more powerfully now, because I had to fix some stuff last couple months. It's all fixed up. Programs raring to go. Circle app set up. So I got a whole community. So you can literally get in there. It makes it easiest to access all the stuff I give you. You can talk to other people, all the rest of it. And so that's coming this week. Like, it's not open yet. For people that aren't customers, it is. If you're a client, you're already in there, but it's going to be open up now for anyone that wants to be in there. And again, I'm going to put a bunch of free shit in there and help you all out, right? Because again, for me, this is a mission, because to me, your weight's life and death. I want you to live as long as you can. I want you to have the best quality life you possibly can while you're here. And I think the weight, and more importantly, what you're doing to create the weight, is really causing a lot of pain in your life. It's preventing you from being the best version of you possible, is what I believe. And I want you to be the best version of you possible. I'm addicted to it. I love, love, love helping people transform. I love watching them transform before my eyes. It is my addiction. I'm absolutely addicted to it. I love it. Right? Jedediah says, how do I participate from Nigeria? The same way you participate anywhere, right? I got people all around the world in the program. So, you can go to Program Yourself Thin, learn about it, go get the hypnosis session first, experience the hypnosis session, watch the training first, see what you think about it. I don't want you just joining the program. It's probably not for you. I'm not doing a great job selling it, but I don't want the wrong people in the program. So again, if you're just looking for magical things to happen, well, it is magical, so I can't say that. But if you're not willing to put the work in, I'll say, okay, that's why I don't just sell the hypnosis sessions anymore. Part of the program is the goal weight hypnosis system. And this is the #1 hypnosis system on the planet. There's nothing like this. I say that with complete confidence. And I know all the hypnosis programs on the planet. Okay. I've been doing this professionally for 20 years. This thing there's nothing like it. It's an 8-week system where over 8 weeks, every morning you get a 5-minute hypnosis session with a different weight loss mantra. And so what happens is you start every day for 5 minutes, relaxed, calm, breathing, centered, grounded, with all this good stuff going in your head. And so it starts to naturally and automatically change the way you think. It relaxes you, calms you down, centers and grounds you, and helps you become and operate out of the best version of you. Because the best version of you is calm and grounded, centered, aware, relaxed, thinking good things. So you start each day. Each day it's a different one too. So you always look forward to it. It's always a little different, even though you're always practicing that relaxation. Then at night, each week you get a core weight loss mantra. It's a 10-minute session, and you listen to this repeatedly over the week. And so for week 1, ideally you listen to it 7 nights a week, but at least 3 times a week is ideal. And what ends up happening, you start bookending your day, right? You start your day relaxed, calm, with all this good stuff going in your head. You end your day relaxed, calm, with all this good stuff in your head. And the night sessions, there's 2 versions of them. One has a count out. So if you want to listen to it earlier and then count out and go about your night, fine. But if you want to listen to it while you're going to sleep, there's a Sleepnosis version of it where it'll help you go to sleep, sleep deeply while you're listening to these suggestions. And you start bookending your day so you're more calm, relaxed, thinking like a thin, healthy person. And over 8 weeks is dramatic how much different you think and how much differently you feel. And then that leads to how much differently you act. And so that's just one part of the system. That's not even the goal weight blueprints. That's not even the program yourself thin technique, but that really becomes the core of the support system, in addition to our Tuesday Q&A calls and the Circle app where you can ask questions whenever you want. So again, I just lay it out for you. I mean, obviously, if you're interested, you can go learn about it, but I lay it out for you because I want you to have a reference point for what a real goal weight program would look like, because you've never heard of one. You've never heard of a goal weight program. You've only heard of diets, which are really just winging it. You know, it's just like cramming for a test. It's not a serious approach to master your weight. It's a Hail Mary, and it's a get rich quick scheme, if you will, you know? Yes, Jen. Jen says, don't do anything to lose weight that you aren't willing to do forever. Absolutely. I think that's some of the best advice you could ever hear. I think that's so great. Angie says, your advice is always good. Thank you, Angie. Appreciate that. Angie says, do men have an easier path at losing weight? I would say yes. I would say my experience says that seems to be true. Why is that? I couldn't explain. I think it's a bit physical, a bit psychological, a bit emotional, I'm sure. Right. But regardless, whatever anyone else's path is irrelevant for you. You have one path and one path only that you can walk in life, and it's yours. So whatever anyone else's situation is completely irrelevant to your situation in life. So whether they have an easier or harder time really is irrelevant, because I can tell you this. I can tell you one thing for sure, that you specifically, Angie, you have an easier path than some men, and you have an easier path than some women. So that I can say for absolute certainty, that your path to weight loss is absolutely easier than some men and women that are on the earth. Now, your path's also harder than some men and women that are on earth. There's a lot of factors that come into play. But again, where you fall within that path is completely and totally irrelevant. And any energy spent reflecting on that is probably not going to serve and help you. So Blenda says, anything with a barcode is dangerous for us. Yeah, agreed. I don't know if it's dangerous necessarily. I think there is a spectrum of things, you know what I mean? But I get the sentiment, I think. But anything with a barcode on it, anything in a box, bag, packaged, you know, learn. That's the biggest distinction I think you can make. You know, the diet industry has always wants you to get focused on calories because they do not want you thinking in terms of natural and whole foods. They don't want you thinking about natural whole foods and processed foods. They want you thinking in terms of calories. So it doesn't matter if it's processed or whole. That doesn't matter. It's all about calories. That is not true. On a technical sense, it's true, right? You could just eat McDonald's and lose weight. But in the real world, the more processed food you eat, you're going to have a harder time controlling your weight, because processed food is created by multi-billion-dollar companies that put billions of dollars into creating products that get you to overeat them. So in what world would trying to lose weight with McDonald's be easier than trying to lose weight with whole natural foods? So, well, I read about that professor and he lost weight. Yeah. I mean, listen, if I paid you $1 million, could you lose weight on McDonald's? Yeah, sure. Of course, if you're really motivated, you can lose weight eating McDonald's, but you have to be super motivated because that food drives you to overeat. Junk food, fast food, processed food is literally created to get you to overeat. That's its fucking main goal. Do you understand that? There's not a company on the planet processing food to make it as healthy as possible for you. They're processing food to get you to eat as much of it as possible. That's their main goal. So yes, anything with a barcode, when you start looking at food and food stuff, is a great distinction to make. Is it food? Is it natural food, the type of food we've been eating for millions of years on Earth? Or is it a brand new food stuff that's been only available for the last 30, 40 years? That's a good distinction to start thinking about with your food. Great way to conceptualize your food and what choices you make. Neely says, except if you're an emotional eater. I don't know what that was referring to. Says stop eating processed foods. Yes, absolutely. Angela Marie says how we shop and what we eat to nourish mind, body, and soul. Food is love. Yep. Self-love matters. Thanks. Love, we appreciate you. Thank you, Angela. I appreciate that. Yeah. But yeah, looking at the food, it is. I love the way you put that, Angela, too. Yeah, food is love. I love that. That's a great phrase. And I just think it's so true. I really do. And I'll take it a step further. And this is a little harsh, but I'm just going to say it, is that sometimes, you can think about your body almost like a child, because your body is completely at the mercy of your decisions. And so in that sense, it's like a child that you take care of. It's at the mercy, right? If you have a child you're raising, that child's at the mercy of what food you put in front of what you give it. And when you think of your body as a child, I think of like how I used to eat. And I literally like imagine my body like sobbing, like just crying out, please give me real food. Please stop shoving this shit in my body. It feels terrible. It's so crazy looking back. I mean, good Lord. I mean, just there was the extra weight, there was the snoring, there was the shitty sleeping, there was the sweating all night. There was the being tired, there was being uncomfortable. God, you know what I mean? Like it was the lack of energy. It was the fatigue, it wasn't just what I look like. That's what I think. The diet industry is always just fixating on what you look like, but there's such bigger things at play here. And I think it does. I mean, because in essence, every time, now I want to make this clear. I think there's a time and a place for bullshit foods. There's a time and a place for fast food, junk food, processed food, first of all. Like I think I treat that food like I treat alcohol. Was alcohol dangerous as a poison? Yeah, technically, sure. But I think I'm doing it in a way that's pretty moderated. Well, I might get to a point where I don't want to do any of it, but I am not a purist. I'm pretty pure, but it's like I got here by not being a purist. I don't believe in no sugar. I don't want to live a life where I never eat sugar. I don't want to live a life at this point anyways where I don't have wine sometimes. I don't want to live a life where I can't eat pizza, where I can't have ice cream sometimes. I want to have those things, but I want to have them moderately, and I want to have them so that they're not affecting my whole quality of life. And so I do think so specifically that absolutely food is love, because if you give yourself healthy, nourishing, high quality, good, nourishing food, it is a message of love to your body. Just like if you were taking care of a kid and you give them bullshit. Now, if you got to give them bullshit because you're in a situation, then it's no judgment, okay? But if you do have a choice, wouldn't you want to do everything you could to give that child the best food you could give it, the best nourishment it could get? Right? Of course you would want to do that. But with your body, you just don't think of it that way. So I love that message. So thank you for sharing that, Angela. I think that's a real good way to think about it. And I think we'll end on that. So again, if you're not in my world, go click the link in my bio, go get the hypnosis session, watch the video I made, read the emails, check out the Circle app is coming, right? So it's kind of a community app that you'll be able to access a bunch of cool stuff in. Super excited to get you all in there. And yeah, this is a podcast too. So I'm live here every Monday through Friday, usually around between noon and 12:30 Eastern. Hop on here, ask questions. I'm happy to help you. And then if you miss this and listen to it, that's also a podcast. Program yourself. Then I got one more question. What's this? Chu Jean says, how you have the mentality diet? Because if I'm having a bad day or something, make me mad, I will overeat. Yeah, I mean, listen, emotional eating, in my opinion, emotional eating is the number one cause of weight issues. Because if you never emotionally ate, you would just eat when you needed nourishment. And then you would stop. But the main thing that triggers the overeating is that you eat when you're had enough food. You eat when you're not really hungry, right? Because you get emotional. And so learning how to deal with your emotions, again, I don't know how you would ever master your weight if you didn't learn how to handle your emotions more effectively. And that's a two-part process. It's learning how to deal with the shitty emotions you don't want to feel. Oops. How do you deal with the shitty emotions you don't want to feel genuinely without food? And how do you start feeling the emotions you want to feel in your life genuinely without food? And when you start getting answers to that and strategies to make that happen, as you can imagine, the whole process gets easier, right? When you know how to deal with shitty emotions genuinely, when you know how to feel the emotions you want to feel genuinely, and there's no food needed, well, managing your weight becomes way easier. So again, we all got to do that to some degree if you're going to be able to manage your weight. So, all right, everyone, I'm going to get out of here. Thanks a lot. Have a super day, and we'll talk soon. Bye.